Life in the Cretaceous wetlands begins with a trembling breath. The young Giganotosaurus pushes through its first morning with a body not yet shaped for the trials it will face, but already carrying the echoes of ancient strength. Around its small frame, the world rises in towering silhouettes, ferns taller than its head, conifers stretching like pillars into the mist, and muddy channels vibrating with the movement of unseen creatures. For the juvenile, everything is overwhelming. Every sound too loud, every shadow too sharp, every scent a million overlapping signals. Its journey begins with confusion, but instinct slowly untangles the chaos. The early hours of the day cast a pale, filtered glow across the wetland. Soft rays slip through low fog, painting the juvenile sailback in cold hues of silver and blue. The sail is thin and flexible, not yet hardened, but already crucial for regulating the young predator's temperature. It absorbs warmth before muscles wake fully, helping circulate energy through a body still learning its own mechanics. With stiff steps, the juvenile tests the mud beneath its toes, pressing lightly, memorizing which patches sink and which remain firm. Tiny prehistoric insects scatter as the juvenile moves, their wings producing a rhythmic buzz that echoes among the reeds. Each vibration matters. Each shift in air pressure tells the juvenile what nearby bodies are doing. Its semi-aquatic jaws are slender now, yet perfectly shaped for skimming small prey that dart near waterlines. The juvenile is hungry. Hunger is its drive, its teacher, its warning. Every day that hunger goes unsatisfied is a threat. The wetlands are both sanctuary and battlefield. Streams cut through the terrain like veins, carrying life, but also concealing predators capable of swallowing a young dinosaur whole. The juvenile approaches one such stream cautiously. Ripples on the surface tell subtle stories. Something moved moments ago, something heavy. The juvenile lowers its head, nostrils hovering close to the water, reading chemical traces left behind. It doesn't yet recognize the scent of Giganotosaurus, the silent ruler of deeper pools, but it senses caution is necessary. As the sun climbs higher, the wetland reveals its colors. Green becomes brighter, water gleams like polished glass, and the juvenile's shadow stretches longer across the ground. It practices movements it doesn't fully understand. Tail sweeps to test balance, sudden darts to practice acceleration, and halting steps to learn how mud behaves under pressure. Every misstep leaves the juvenile half submerged, flailing to recover footing, but each attempt builds confidence. Nearby, small herbivores graze in cautious clusters. Hypsilophodon juveniles nibble on young ferns, always ready to scatter at the slightest rustle. The young Giganotosaurus watches them, head tilted. They are too fast, too alert, too coordinated for it to catch. But observing them sparks something important: curiosity. Curiosity becomes memory, and memory becomes future skill. The juvenile imitates the stop and start rhythm of their movement, the ways they test ground textures, the angles at which they lean before pushing off into a sprint. It is learning from those it cannot yet hunt. Overhead, the calls of distant pterosaurs echo across the wetland. Their silhouettes glide with effortless grace, reminding the juvenile that this world favors mastery, not hesitation. As the day warms, the sailback begins to pulse with vibrant red lines. Blood vessels expanding to regulate heat. When temperatures rise too quickly, the juvenile lowers the sail into the shade of broad cycads, cooling itself with shallow breaths. Its survival relies not just on hunting, but on managing its own body correctly. By afternoon, the wetlands stir with activity. Aquatic reptiles churn the water. Shorebirds hop along exposed sandbanks. The juvenile feels the rising energy in the landscape and responds with its own bursts of motion. It tracks ripples, follows darting fish, lunges at skittering amphibians, rarely successful, but each attempt teaches control. Its tail becomes more coordinated, counterbalancing sudden shifts in direction. Foot placement becomes purposeful. Muscles begin to awaken with natural rhythm. Although small, the juvenile is not invisible. Larger predators cruise through the same pathways, leaving powerful impressions in the mud. The juvenile inspects these prints, studying their depth, their spacing, their direction. Instinct urges it to avoid them. Every step feels heavier when danger surrounds it, but that heaviness sharpens awareness. This is a world where survival is earned with every heartbeat. As evening shadows lengthen, the juvenile retreats to a quiet pocket of flooded forest. Water drips rhythmically from conifer branches overhead, creating a soft cadence that soothes its tired body. It curls beside a fallen trunk, sailback relaxed, head tucked low. The wetlands hum around it with nighttime life. Choruses of insects, gentle splashes of unseen fish, the distant growl of something large moving through water. Sleep arrives slowly, wrapped in the comfort of a world that is both merciless and magnificent. Tomorrow, the juvenile will wake stronger, more aware, more attuned to the landscape. Every lesson learned today shapes the predator it will become. This is the beginning. Fragile, uncertain, but full of extraordinary potential. The wetlands shift with the changing season, and so does the young Giganotosaurus. It is no longer the fragile hatchling that stumbled through its first steps. Muscles have thickened, reflexes have sharpened. The sail-backed silhouette now rises taller above the reeds, casting a shadow that more species recognize as a threat. Yet size brings new responsibilities. Larger predators acknowledge it, and smaller competitors no longer flee at random, they strategize. Morning arrives with heavy mist sliding across tidal channels. The juvenile steps into the haze with practiced confidence. Its gait is smoother now, each movement backed by instinct refined through repetition. Water displacement patterns instantly register in its mind. Ripples form a map only it can read. The wetland, once overwhelming, has become familiar terrain. But familiarity does not mean safety. Beneath the surface of a brackish pool, a massive shape stirs, the lurking mass of a mature Sarcosuchus. The young Giganotosaurus is larger now, yet still far too small to challenge the armored giant. The predator's eyes rise slowly above the waterline, tracking the juvenile's movements with predatory patience. The juvenile senses the change in air pressure, feels the unnatural stillness. It freezes, tail raised slightly for counterbalance. Every instinct screams caution. A single fish breaks water, creating a sharpened splash that echoes through the scene. The Sarcosuchus lunges, but at only a fraction of its full speed. Still, the burst of motion sends a wave across the bank, forcing the juvenile to leap backward. Its feet slide across mud, but the tail corrects trajectory instantly. The narrow escape imprints itself deeply in memory. Power means nothing without awareness. Later in the day, the juvenile explores deeper mangrove corridors. Roots twist like skeletal arms beneath murky water. Light flickers in fragmented sheets through dense canopy branches. In these tight, winding passages, visibility collapses to mere meters. The juvenile relies on other senses, smell, vibration, air density, to navigate. The mangroves host a mosaic of smaller predators. Feathered dromaeosaurs, sharp-eyed troodotids, and agile bird-like hunters waiting for opportunities. A ripple catches its attention, a small pack of feathered juveniles scattered by its approach. They dart between roots with speed and discipline, their coordinated motion fascinating to watch. Though not a direct threat, they embody the teamwork the young Giganotosaurus lacks. It relies solely on itself, and in this environment, solitude is both strength and weakness. As midday heat intensifies, the juvenile sailback glows with vivid colors, red veins pumping to dissipate excess warmth. It lowers its body into shallow water, allowing currents to wash across its limbs. The cooling ritual is essential. Overheating would sap strength and dull reflexes. Once refreshed, it pushes onward into the sunlight. Competition grows fiercer as water levels recede. Pools shrink, forcing species into closer proximity. Conflicts erupt frequently and violently. The juvenile secures its first meaningful kills. Small reptiles stranded in decreasing water, weakened amphibians caught between mud and desperation. These victories forge confidence. Each successful hunt refines technique. Precise jaw closure, body alignment, and calculated bursts of acceleration. But the wetlands remain unpredictable. A thunderstorm rolls across the horizon, winds whipping the marsh grass into spirals. The juvenile braces its sail as gusts batter its body. Torrential rain slams against the ground, transforming the terrain instantly. Dry channels refill with rushing water, dragging debris and smaller animals downstream. The juvenile navigates the chaos with increasing mastery, leaping between patches of higher ground, avoiding sudden sinkholes forming in saturated mud. Lightning cracks above, illuminating distant shapes. Massive herbivores migrating towards safer terrain. Their movements shake the earth, creating pulses the juvenile can feel through its limbs. It must choose, follow the herd and risk being trampled, or retreat and conserve energy. Instinct pushes it to observe from a distance. For now, the herd is too large, too unpredictable. But one day, individual stragglers may become opportunities. When the storm finally passes, the wetlands smell changed, charged with ozone, churned earth, and fresh vegetation. New shelters form, but so do new hunting grounds. The juvenile tracks these changes carefully, updating its mental map. Everything about its behavior becomes more deliberate, more purposeful. In the fading light, the juvenile stands taller, silhouetted against the shimmering aftermath of the storm. It is no longer just surviving the wetlands. It is learning to rule them. Flood season reshapes the world overnight. Rivers overflow, sweeping across the marshlands and wide currents that erase old landmarks and create new ones. The juvenile Giganotosaurus wakes to a transformed landscape. Deeper channels, uprooted trees, new trails carved through mud and sediment. For most creatures, such dramatic change brings confusion. For the juvenile, it brings opportunity. Its body has grown significantly. Limbs are stronger, steps are bolder, and the sailback now holds intricate vascular patterns that shimmer subtly in sunlight. Each line is a testament to growth, a record of survival etched into biology. The juvenile moves with a confidence born from countless trials. Dense fog blankets the early morning wetlands. Visibility drops to almost nothing. Instead of hesitating, the juvenile leans into the silence, listening. Every distant splash, every faint rustle in the reeds becomes a beacon. Through practice, its senses have become a synchronized network. Smell confirms direction, vibrations confirm distance, water displacement reveals size and speed. In this near darkness, it moves like a creature sculpted by the fog itself. The juvenile approaches a newly formed water channel. Ripples disturb the smooth surface. Two rhythms, one small and frantic, one massive and controlled. The juvenile recognizes the pattern instantly. A large crocodilian stalks beneath the water, not the colossal Giganotosaurus it once feared, but a younger rival closer to its own size. Confident, the juvenile circles the bank slowly, tail steady for balance. It doesn't charge blindly. Instead, it reads the crocodilian's behavior. Patience, not power, offers advantage. A sudden lunge from below disrupts the calm. The crocodilian bursts from the waterline, jaws snapping shut, missing the juvenile by a margin created by its sharpened reflexes. The juvenile counterattacks not with a kill attempt, but a strategic headbutt, using its growing skull strength to knock the reptile off balance. The crocodilian retreats, not defeated, but warned. This moment marks a shift. The juvenile is no longer prey avoiding danger. It is predator defending its position. Throughout the day, the wetlands pulse with chaotic energy. Migrating herbivores return to high ground, forcing predators into narrow corridors. In these tight spaces, the juvenile's growing agility gives it an edge. It maneuvers between clusters of vegetation with calculated precision. Sudden bursts of speed send amphibians leaping away in panic, small fish diving deeper into flooded pockets. A young dromaeosaur tests the juvenile's resolve, shadowing its movements from a safe distance. Both predators circle, each evaluating the other. In a world driven by survival, conflict is costly. After a tense standoff, the smaller predator yields, slinking back into the underbrush. The juvenile maintains its composure, a ruler that wins battles without needing to strike. As afternoon arrives, the wetlands shimmer beneath golden light. Pools reflect distorted skies, grasses sway like liquid fire, and the juvenile sail casts dramatic contours across the flooded ground. It practices complex maneuvers, tail whips, sudden turns, weight shifts that would have toppled it months ago. Its body now obeys instinct with remarkable precision. The world grows quieter near sunset. Heavy heat fades into cooler currents drifting across the terrain. The juvenile senses a larger presence nearby, a massive herbivore isolated from its herd. Carefully, silently, it approaches through shallow water. Its reflection wavers beside it, distorted but determined. The hunt that follows is not frantic but calculated. The juvenile tests distance, wind direction, and footing. It understands that one mistake could cripple it. The herbivore detects movement and reacts with a thunderous bellow. Mud explodes under its feet as it charges. The juvenile dodges sideways, tail counterbalancing at a sharp angle. Instead of confronting directly, it guides the herbivore toward deeper mud, where weight becomes an enemy. The chase ends not with a kill, but with dominance. The juvenile proves it can control the flow of battle. Night arrives with dense fog returning, thicker than the morning. Darkness blankets everything, but the juvenile is unafraid. It knows this terrain, knows its rhythms, its dangers, its shelter. It moves like a creature finally aligned with its world. By dawn, the juvenile stands on high ground overlooking the flooded valley. Water glistens in soft pastel light. Birds trace arcs across the sky. The wetlands breathe a slow, ancient breath. The juvenile Giganotosaurus has survived storms, predators, floods, and hunger. It has learned the language of mud, water, wind, and instinct. Every scar, every memory carved into its muscles brings it closer to adulthood. Its journey is far from over, but it now walks with the strength of a predator shaped by the wild, and sharpened by its own will.